Welcome. We're here. I'm actually doing this. I said I was going to do this at the baseball season, the beginning of the baseball season. I said I was going to do this. And then, my full-time job just got so caught up with me. There was no way I was going to be able to do this during the baseball season. So that's okay. You know why? Because no one cares about sports betting, baseball, except for real degenerates like me. But I know y'all come back for college football, the NFL, the NBA, all those. I know you do. All right. So this is the first real edition of just another sports betting podcast because I didn't know what else to call it. Just going to be on my YouTube channel, not going to be on any platform, whatever. Hit that subscribe button for my YouTube channel where a lot of this is Illinois content and sports betting and any other stuff related to the Cubs that I am allowed to put up. Okay. So I appreciate we already got about 9 to 10 people watching, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're watching from my Twitter account right now. If you're watching from Twitter, head over to my YouTube channel and let's hit that subscribe button. Jason Long in the chat, he says, bring on Illini basketball already. I know, man. I know. I can't wait. It's been it feels like a decade since the last time I was on here talking Illinois. But Illinois football debuts starts tomorrow against my alma mater. I like to call them the Harvard of the Midwest, but most people call them the Eastern Illinois Panthers. I don't know what the spread on that game is, and I'm a little. I hate when Illinois and EIU get together. I hate it. I really do. But I'm staying away from that game. I'm not betting any massive spreads this week. I hate doing massive spreads. Anyone who bet Hawaii minus 40.5 last Saturday, you were as big of a degenerate. You were at the peak form of degeneracy. There's no one. You might be the biggest degenerate that you know yourself. You look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you're the biggest degenerate. So I picked 3 games for tomorrow's slate that I like, and we're going to talk about those. In the description on my YouTube channel is a link to my Dub Club, which I've been promoting on my Instagram and on Twitter for the last, week and a half now. Shout out to those folks. They hit me up. They said, hey, you want to come join us and, promote yourself and grow on sports betting side some more? Sure, fine, whatever, great. So they give me a platform to do more sports betting content, which is cool. And it allows me to kind of talk every day with people who give a shit about what I'm giving out. So it's cool. Very small group so far, but we'll see if it grows. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's really not that big of a deal to me, but it's been a lot of fun. So hit the link in my description on YouTube. 50% off the first month. It's $5. 50% off the first month. So $2.50 to get my picks every single day. There will be more picks that I will give out tomorrow, but I'm going to give these ones out for free tonight. Okay. So as you can see on the screen, I'm going to do UNC at Minnesota, North Dakota State at Colorado, and then Coastal Carolina at Jacksonville State. And I just love throwing little Sun Belt action on a Thursday. Oh, I love betting the Sun Belt, folks. No one loves betting the Sun Belt like I love betting the Sun Belt. Okay, so why don't we just start with it? Start with the Sun Belt, Coastal Carolina and Jacksonville State. Believe it or not, what's his name? Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina. He transferred. Somehow he still has eligibility. The guy's been in college football for almost a decade, it feels like, at this point. I think he transferred to NC State. Someone can correct me on that, but I know he's not at Coastal Carolina anymore. And so we got the Chanticleers versus the Gamecocks. Jacksonville State, first year in FBS last year. Believe they got a bowl game. Rich Rodriguez leading the squad, bro. They got 5 starters back from their offense from last year and 4 starters on defense. Might feel like you there's a lot of transition there. I don't know. It kind of scares me a little bit. However, my first play that I like regarding this game, it's the only play that I have, but it is for the first bet I'm giving out. It's Jacksonville State -3. All right, Jacksonville State -3. Coastal Carolina, their offense started here last season and then just steadily went down the whole way. All right. Jacksonville State They love to run the ball. They love to run the ball. They were 67th in rushing EPA last year, and Coastal's rushing defense was 78th. And as I said, their offense got worse as the season went on last year. I just don't feel like, especially now that McCall is gone, who's transferred, there's a lot more questions on Coastal Carolina's side than on Jacksonville State side. And I think Jacksonville State's coach is above what's going on at Coastal Carolina as well. They're at home. They're pretty good at home. They're against the spread numbers at home were good last year. So Jacksonville State won by double digits against Coastal Carolina last year. It's always hard to tell how to read these teams first week of the year. I'm sure a lot of people had Florida State against Georgia Tech. I had Georgia Tech, but a lot of people thought that Florida State was going to roll last week, and they had a bunch of new players on offense and stuff like that, and they just did not gel right away. So what we're seeing in week 1 probably isn't what we're going to see in like week 7. You know what I mean? So I think as a whole, though, I just think there's a little bit more you can rely on with Jacksonville State than Coastal Carolina. So I'm taking Jacksonville State -3. Whew. What's up, Blake? How you doing, man? 5. What's he got? The 5-figure fall loading. Explain. Okay. Explain that. It's a $10,000 profit or Skid Row panhandling for 2 nickels to rub together. No in between. I just read that out loud. If this has anything to do with your $1,000 bet on the Cubs to go over 83.5 wins, if that has some, let me know. But if your 5-figure fall is a 5-leg parlay, best of luck, friend. All right, shout out to Blake, big name on Cubs Twitter. Came to Friday 120 Club earlier this year. Great dude. All right. So, again, I'm taking Jacksonville State -3. I just think there's a little bit more things you can rely on. I think they have the better coach. They're going to run the ball. Even though their starting running back got hurt, they still have a lot of good depth, I believe. And I just feel like it's more reliable. So, give me Jacksonville State -3. Next up, let's go to the game that I feel like in past years no one would give 2 fucks about. But because Deion Sanders exists, it's getting a ton of attention. And also, don't sleep on North Dakota State. They're one of the best FCS programs ever. Okay, 9 FCS championships, and all of them have come in the last, or at least this decade, or this century, I believe. So that said, North Dakota State and Colorado, and the line opened at 7.5 when it came out in May. It went up to 8.5. And then I feel like since then, or from then on, it stayed there for a little bit. And then it skyrocketed to 10, which is where it's at now. And is that public money? Is that people who don't know what they're thinking? Is this Deion, Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders? I just like people who aren't as knowledgeable. I just feel like 10 points is too much for a really solid FCS program, man. I feel like it is. So give me North Dakota State +10 at -110. I got it up bet MGM. North Dakota State. I mean, listen, man. I just don't. I feel like more than a touchdown here is too much. All right, and this is like prime trap game territory for Colorado. All right, first game of the year, a lot of expectations, a lot of hype, just like last year, stuff like that. I even kind of want to take the under on this game too. The over under on this, the total was what, 57.5, 58, and it's skyrocketed to 60.5. Like, North Dakota State's a run first team. I know that in college football you can get to 60. You can easily get to 60 points, especially with this high tempo offense that Colorado has shown in the past, and their defense not being very good either. But this is also week 1. I feel like the under is the play here. It's not an official bet for me, but I lean the under on North Dakota State and Colorado. But But I just think North Dakota State is just getting completely disrespected here. 10 points. I feel like it's at least it should have stayed around a touchdown, right? Some stats for your ass. I swear that was a quote from a movie. Some stats for your ass. I feel like that's from Coach Carter. Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah. I'm trying. I had it up. Here we go. Wrong one. Here we go. Brought up the wrong tab. I've been doing my research, folks. Been doing my research. These stupid pop-ups go away. All right. So, as far as some interesting stats here, all right. Obviously, Colorado, they have a lot to prove on defense this year because they were terrible on defense last year. 107th in rushing yards allowed per game, 176.4 rushing yards per game allowed. That was 107th in FBS. And North Dakota State, they had the fourth most productive run game in FCS last season at 237 yards per game. They're going to have the same quarterback as they had last year, quarterback Cam Miller. I just like that alone. I just feel like if they're able to establish the run, North Dakota State, they're going to be able to hang around. And it's like I said about the first game. Like, I do think Colorado will be better this year, but in week 1, I'm not so sure. And people are watching now. It's not like Colorado going to TCU last year as 23.5-point underdogs and, no one really seeing the Dion effect play out yet, right? Like, it is – I just feel like – I feel like Colorado wins this game, but I just feel like 10 points is too much. So give me North Dakota State plus 10. Blake is also on North Dakota State. Yeah, I think Colorado wins. I do. I also like Travis Hunter, 70 plus receiving yards. If you don't want to bet on the spread, I kind of like Travis Hunter to go off in this game, just because he's been itching to get back. He got hurt last year, coming back. I think that there's plenty of him and Sanders got plenty of chemistry. So I kind of like him to go over on the receiving, especially since this game's going to be close, in my opinion. So, yeah, I lean under Travis Hunter receiving yards. I kind of like as well. But give me North Dakota State plus 10. All right. And then the final game of the slate. Let's start with my prop for this game. All right. UNC at Minnesota. Omarion Hampton over 95.5 rushing yards. Okay. First off, his first name being Omarion just made me think of the R&B singer. Why? I don't know, but it is what it is. Just wanted to point that out. Okay, so no Drake May for UNC anymore. Okay, they're going into tomorrow's game with like 2 quarterbacks. I think one of the what are their names? I wrote them down, folks. Max Johnson and Connor Harrell. All right, that's not Drake May. They've both been like, one of them's like a 5 or 6 year transfer. I think Max Johnson came from Texas A&M. Anyway, they have 2 quarterbacks. They haven't even decided a starter. They're probably not going to decide on a full-time starter until after this game. So I think they're going to be conservative offensively, which means they're going to run the ball. And I know Minnesota has been a pretty solid running team over the course of the last 4 or 5 years under PJ Fleck. However, new defensive coordinator, and I just don't know what to expect from Minnesota on that front. And with UNC, I think Hampton, he showed really good promise last year. He had a lot of really good games last year. I think UNC is basically going to feature this guy, at least in this game, just because, again, these quarterbacks are not elite like Drake May. They're not going to run the offense through him. They're going to rely on this guy, Omarion Hampton, So, and he's got a lot. He's got big play, rushing ability. He could get over this in 10 tries, honestly. But the only thing that does scare me is Minnesota's rush defense has been solid. They did play Minnesota last year, and Minnesota only held him to like 61 yards. So it does scare me a little bit. But a few other things that keep me confident. It's calling for rain in Minneapolis tomorrow. All right. And wind gusts from 15 to 20 miles per hour. All right. So yeah, and I feel like with the likelihood of having a conservative offensive play calling, as in running the ball a lot, I feel like Hampton, I mean, they set the line at 95.5. I mean, that should tell you enough there, right? You want a little extra odds? You go on. You think you can get to 150? I would not be surprised if you got to 150. But I took the main line at minus 115. All right. I would not be surprised if you got to 150, though. If you want to do that, you want to do the alternate line, get better odds. I'm all for it, considering how this game is shaping up to, the game script is shaping up. So, and that kind of leads me into my full bet of this game. And it is a good old fashioned under 50.5 under. All right. UNC, Minnesota under. And I basically have already explained some of it. Okay. You got rotating quarterbacks for UNC. Okay. And then you got a quarterback for Minnesota who transferred from New Hampshire. Now, I believe he was a Walter Payton Award finalist, which is basically like the Heisman for FCS. I believe he was a finalist. I don't think he won it, but he was a finalist last year. And the thing is, though, is that was at New Hampshire, not in a Power 4, Power 5 school, whatever they're calling it now, because like all the conferences are different. But he played at New Hampshire, not against North Carolina or any team in the Big Ten, ACC, SEC, none of those schools. All right, not to take anything too away from him, but I need to see it before I put my money on it, right? So I like the under because you don't really know what to expect from these quarterbacks. I think both teams are going to try and run the ball a ton, which means the clock is going to tick, 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 tick. All right. Yeah. And like I said, wind gusts 15 to 20 miles per hour. You got rain in the forecast, so it's going to be disgusting. And Jason Benetti's on the broadcast, and I feel like he calls a lot of unders. And I could be completely wrong about that, but that's just how I feel. All right. So this is my favorite play of tomorrow, to be honest with you. A good old-fashioned Thursday night under. It's not NFL, but college football, UNC, Minnesota, under 50.5. Now, on the spread, I do lean. I actually did lean UNC, but after reading more about this matchup, I'm actually leaning a little bit more towards Minnesota, who is an underdog coming into this game. And I believe Minnesota was the favorite at one point, and now the lines have moved. Maybe it's because UNC hasn't decided a quarterback. I don't know. But I lean towards Minnesota on the money line. They're at home. They have a ridiculous record. I had it on my iPad. Maybe I wrote it down. All I know is they're 5-2 in season openers under PJ Fleck as well. I'm going to look it up. It was like a ridiculous stat. Minnesota 98-36-6 all time in season openers. They're 102-31-7 all time in home openers, which is an identical stretch of 6 wins in their last 8 home openers. Okay. So yeah, they're really good at home to start the year. That they've just shown to do that. Okay. So yeah. She is texting me. Okay. All right. So right around 20 minutes, folks. This is what it's going to be. I'm going to do this again tomorrow night for Friday's slate. Yes. And I don't know if it'll be live, but I'll at least put a video up. And yeah, I'll tweet it out, all these things. So if you are a degenerate, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Would appreciate it. Hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, hit the like. Come to the YouTube channel, hit the like button. Subscribe to my Dub Club, the link in the description. And yeah, man. My God. Holy, let's turn it on. Do not disturb. Jesus Christ. Anyway, do all those things. I appreciate it. And I'll see you all tomorrow. And good luck with your bets. And for fuck's sake, please don't lose every single one of them, Cody. I do not want to embarrass myself in the first episode of this. All right. Y'all have a good night. Bye.